Hello everyone, my name is Pallavi and today I'm going to demo product attributes in Infor M3. Product attributes are a way of describing inventory items. It facilitates item handling and helps us to structure item information from supply to warehouse activities all the way up to order fulfillment. To have a better understanding of product attributes, let us take an example of an item apple. Apple can have several attributes such as color, and the attribute value in the Infor M3 system for color would be text, weight with the attribute value of numeric, origin can have an attribute value of alphanumeric, which would be a combination of both texts and numbers, and the attribute value such as date of harvest having an attribute value of date. Thus, in Infor M3, for a particular item, we can have different attribute value. Moving forward, let us now have a look at what could be the different business scenarios or use cases where product attributes can be useful. Product attributes can be used for managing inventory item using their properties. Many a times, having an item description does not suffice the kind of information that we want to have about an item. Thus, setting up an item to be attribute managed gives us additional information about the product. Product attributes can be used for setting up dynamic pricing for sales. It could be used to set up purchase prices, allocation on inventory based on the attributes or product characteristics, and it can also be used for forecasting and planning of items. Let us now see how we can set up attribute controlled products. A prerequisite setting for this would be, on a company level, you need to sit with your team and decide what would be the different kinds of attributes, properties, or the characteristics with which you want to distinguish your end product. After you have come up with a list of separate attributes for items, we will go ahead and create attribute values and attribute models in the Infor M3 system. Set those particular products or items to be attribute managed in the item master and attach the attribute model to the items. To demonstrate the use of attributes, I have used a particular product called Bolt, and the different attributes that I am using are material, diameter, length, date of inspection, and country of supplier. Moving forward, I have now signed into my M3 environment and I'm at my home pages. To begin with, let's first have a look at the attribute model. Attribute model is nothing but a way of grouping together similar kinds of attributes which is then tied to a particular item. The attribute model that I am using for this demonstration is Bolt properties. Highlighting my Bolt properties, let us go to model lines. And over here, you will see the different kinds of attributes that I am using to manage my item Bolt. Over here, the different attributes that I am using, as discussed earlier, are bolt diameter, date of inspection, length of bolt, bolt material, and country of origin. Thus, attribute models gives us a way of managing different kinds of attribute within one model. In the Infor M3 environment, attributes can be managed at different levels, such as the balance identity level, the lot master level, purchase order, manufacturing order, and customer order level. We will now have a look at how different kinds of attributes can be managed from the purchase order level. As you can see, I have already created a purchase order for my product Bolt. Let us have a look at the different lines that are there in this purchase order. This purchase order has one line for the Bolt. Highlighting my line item, I will use the related option of attribute values to see the value of the different attributes tied to this product. As you can see, this redirects me to a new screen called attribute-value.connect, and it has an attribute CN origin, which is about the country of origin of Bolt, and it has a value of Canada associated with it. Going forward, I would now like to go ahead and receive this particular item in my inventory, and that will also demonstrate how we will enter different attribute values. Highlighting my purchase order, I will use the related options of receive goods. This redirects me to a new function PPS 300 where I can go ahead and receive my goods in the warehouse. Entering the receiving quantity, I would hit next, and as you can see on the screen, a new screen called attribute-value.connect pops up. This screen gives me an overview of the different kinds of attributes that we discussed. As you can see, there is a column called error, and the error for different attribute values is in red. This is because it is a new entry for the item Bolt, and we have not set up any default or target attribute values for the particular attribute IDs. Thus, when we are receiving a product in our inventory, we have the flexibility of setting up the attributes. Opening up the attribute value, I will now go ahead and populate the attribute value that I want to tie with the attribute diameter. We suppose that the bolt that we are receiving has a diameter of 0.05 inches. Using this function, we will populate all the different kinds of attribute values in our system. As you can see, each time I am populating an attribute value, my error disappears and everything becomes good to go. The length of the bolt could be supposed to be 0.5 inches. Another thing to notice about attribute values is, if you click on that small arrow, a table of values pops up. This table tells you what could be the default attribute value tied to a particular attribute. This table is set up when you are initially setting up the attributes in the systems. Thus, you do not always need to remember all the attribute values that are there for your particular attribute and item, and you can always take help of the table that you set up and populate the attribute values. Highlighting the attribute, click on select, and that attribute will get populated in the screen. As you can see, we have populated all the different kinds of attribute values for a particular item Bolt while we are receiving it in our inventory. Now, as discussed earlier, attributes can be managed from a balance identity level. Therefore, going back at our home pages, let us now have a look at a balance identity or inventory, and for a particular product Bolt that we just received, we will see what are the different attributes available for them. Highlighting my item Bolt in the inventory or balance identity screen, I will again use the related option of attribute values. This opens the attribute value screen, and you can see that there are no errors in the system. This screen provides us an information about the attribute IDs, the attribute types, which tells whether an attribute is numeric, alphanumeric, date, or text type, as well as the different attribute values that we entered while receiving the product in our inventory. Thus, setting an item to be attribute control helps us to manage and use our items and inventory based on different system properties and information. It also helps us to set up dynamic pricing, allocation, forecasting, and planning based on the item information delivered to us by the use of attributes. This is all that I have for you today. If you need any additional information about product attributes, do write an email to us on the email ID given in the description. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you.